to cover off. You two can own one of these. Does the trick though, so we can get something else sorted. Right, let's find the key, get rid of that there. I'll run the engine for a bit. I don't know how well she's, how well batteries have been charging. Well, there's plenty of battery power, but shut that, a bit of rain coming in. That there. Pop down below as well, we'll have a look, see what's happening down here. It's been a bit cool. Might just open some of the hatches and just get a little bit of ventilation and air going through as well. The wind's not blowing like it was. Well, g'day from down on Northern Star. Been a bit blowy this last few days, in fact last week, so I thought I'd better pop down and check springers and mooring lines and things like that. Getting good gusts of southerly wind coming through as the front comes up the country, and it's been pretty darn windy, to be fair. You'll see a bit of the footage is a bit squally, disappears, and big gusts come through. Anyway, so all a little bit of a trial. I'm still fiddling around with the GoPro and I suppose the editing programs on the computer to see if I can actually patch together or cobble together something that people want to actually watch, especially when I start working on the boat and doing some of the many jobs that need to be done topsides. Go around and make a list, and probably as I make that list at some stage in the future, I'll take the camera around and then probably create a board up on there with a list of stuff on it, cross stuff off. It seems to be quite a popular way of doing it. Some of the boat reno channels on YouTube keep a track of things and feel like I'm actually advancing matters somewhat. Anyway, so look down here, and it's taken a wee while to get going. I've had a lot going in the last probably 6, 8 to 12 months with work and the family being down here in the South Island. Biggest life change for me recently was losing my wife after a brief illness, and one in which she fought like the devil to stay with us, but it wasn't meant to be. So that sort of took the wind out of my sails, understandably, and has knocked us as a family significantly, given that the boat was going to be a family project and for use for the family in the Sounds as a cruiser for grandkids, fishing, swimming, tramping, dropping off our adult children and their partners while we disappeared with the grandies. The boat was going to be ideal for that. And look, it still is. It's just taking a little bit of time. You know, I lost my wife at the end of January this year. End of January. It's only some 3 months down the track, so there's still a lot going on for me. Particularly, you know, that grieving process, and particularly trying to find a new rhythm in life. I'm lucky I still have a 17-year-old son at home. Turned 17 just this week, in fact. And you know, it's great having him there, and there's no hurry for him to move out, so I'm quite happy to have him there at home for as long as possible. So I'm not rattling around a big empty house by myself. Part of it is that, you know, finding a new motivation, finding some motivation, enthusiasm to just get on and start doing some stuff and reintegrating in life, socialising again with the various organisations that I sort of have been in contact with over the last few years, you know, with the pipe band. Unfortunately, I'm still at a stage where it takes a little bit of motivation to get out there and go and do things, particularly coming down to the boat. You know, so carry a bit of a heartache, but you know, I'm just going to have to get on with life, basically, because my wife, God bless her soul, would kick my backside if I didn't. So, but in saying that, it's all very well to say it, but you know, reality is what reality is. So, but anyway, that's enough doom and gloom. That's why there hasn't been a lot posted. I haven't progressed the channel on the repairs in the boat anywhere near as quickly as I was hoping to. I want to get something that people want to watch and want to tune into regularly to see how I'm going, and of that will involve some boat maintenance, repairs, sailing, motoring around the Sounds and some of our sites around here that, you know, both my wife and myself are wanting to go and see and do. So hopefully we'll get a chance to share it with you. But anyway, a other update is I've been down to the local marine engineering place. I want to get the motor serviced, oiled, oil changes, filter changes, fuel filter changes, all of that sort of thing. They've been down, had a look at the boat. Unfortunately, I've got a bit of an issue with my header tank. One of the frost plugs at the top of that is corroded out over time, so I'm leaking a little bit of antifreeze out of there. It's not a major problem because it's not under pressure or anything like that, but I just have to keep an eye on it and top it up, and it's not ideal having antifreeze ending up in the bilges. Also the lid, the cap for that, I don't know if it's not the right cap or it's worn out, the rubber's worn out of it. It sort of sits on top, but as she's a keel cooled boat, there's not too much of an issue. The keel cooling works very, very efficiently. They had a look, someone came down, had a look through the boat. I'm going to need to be replacing water pipes, and along with that will go clamps, hose clamps and things. Oil change, some 27.5 litres of oil is what it's going to take. Apparently there's some issue with the gearbox. The terminology they used was making metal, which would indicate something's worn in the gearbox. I don't know what it is. I don't know how they can tell that by looking just at the oil or dipping the oil. The oil looks as though it could do with a good change anyway, and whether or not, because it's been sitting around for so long and it did have the leak along that garboard seam, with it sitting, there's been a bit of water get into the gearbox. I don't know if that's caused a bit of a problem with the oil. I don't know. Big unknown is I'm still waiting on a bit of a ballpark quote to get all this work done, including what do I actually need to do with the gearbox. Now, can it be done in the boat? Can there be a top cover come off? Does it have to come completely out, which is going to be quite challenging because it's a big hunk of steel. Not a lot of room to work down there. And then, of course, whether that can be done with it sitting in the marina. I don't really want it sitting on the hard and having it sitting there for months on end, paying fees to have it out of the water while I'm paying for the marina berth. So common sense would tell me there's still the same amount of room for them to work on it, whether it's on the hard or in the marina. If anything, it's going to be easier if it has to come out to get it out while it's sitting in the marina berth, more or less sitting level with the pontoons, as opposed to sitting on the hard where you're going to be at least 3.5 metres off the ground, that you've then got to lower this hunk of steel down somehow. So yeah, so all of that's all a big unknown. Cost-wise, I'm cringing to think what that's going to cost me, but the bottom line is, as they've said, they're a reputable firm. They're not going to do a service and ignore any problems. Their name is attached to it. They have had people that have done that. Why can't you just service it? Just give it an oil change, it'll be fine, because their reputation hangs on it. And people obviously, they drive away, it breaks down. Oh, such and such did the service, and it's their fault. They did something wrong or didn't pick the problem up. They're not prepared to do that. They will tell you up front, if that's all you want, go somewhere else. I must admit, I've, to be quite honest, it's a very good attitude to have, and it tells me that I'm dealing with a reputable company. The next thing for me is that it needs to be done, because if it's not, bottom line is I'm using a boat that maybe could break down. There could be a problem with the gearbox. I don't know. I don't want to be trying to use it, particularly over next summer, taking friends or family out and have a problem with it dying or leaving me stranded, or someone having to come and tow us back in. I have insurances and member of Coast Guard to deal with situations like that, but if it's avoidable, in my view, it's avoidable, and you don't know what other damage you're going to be doing at the same time. The whole engine is a 6LXB. It's a big engine, 10.46 litre pots, 6 cylinders. It's a big commercial engine, and it runs really well. It's a beautiful engine, and it deserves to be looked after. So that being said, I'm just waiting at the moment. I'm hoping at some stage someone will come back down to the boat and give me a detailed inventory of what needs to be done and a ballpark figure for that, so that I can get the go ahead, find the funds to do it, and get the boat sorted. In the meantime, it's probably just need to start investing in some products, some Everdure or similar, some fiberglass hardeners and things, fillers, just so that I can start tickling around, taking care of some of these more minor problems. I have two sections on the port side on the rails along the coaming that I need to replace. One portion just midships here, where some has obviously run into a wharf or a jetty, and I think that's when they damaged the forefoot of the bow and scuffed the hull, popped the garboard seam on the starboard side, and smashed the rail. I didn't pick it up when I bought it. It was covered with grey tape, and being all excited over looking at this boat, I probably should have spent a bit more time and had it hauled out to have a bit of a pre-survey, pre-purchase inspection / insurance inspection report done for me. It might have saved me a bit of money. The other section is aft, same side, port side, and it's the working area of the boat where they would have hauled pots and lines over the side. There's been some rot to get into the rail or the capping on top of the coaming, which is to be expected. The work and the damage and the knocks that was taken over the years. There's been some previous repairs done there, and as to be expected, it's past its use by date, this section. So we're only talking potentially here 1 metre to 1100, 1200 maximum lengths of timber. I'll cut out and laminate in some new timber and then shape it. It's not very onerous as far as doing it, just needs a bit of motivation, having the materials on hand and just planning to get it done and then doing it. And the same with the damage on the towards the aft on the port side. Areas are there, the little pockets of rot right up in the bow, just to the right hand side as you look at the bow roller, the capstan, where they've cut into the coaming to install all the stainless steel capstan bow roller. There's been a bit of rot got in there, never sealed properly. Little areas on the deck where there's little areas of rot have got into the original teak. Unfortunately, someone's painted it for sale previously and covered a few little issues that have become evident. And I mean, we're only talking little areas. My ultimate the plan is to deal with those, get into the rot, stop it from spreading, seal it up with potentially actually laying a new thin sheet of plywood over the top, gluing it down properly, and fiberglass over the top of that again, seal up the decks once and for all, stop the ingress of any fresh water, because any water that's getting into the boat is coming in through there. Areas down the back where there's been rod holders and other fittings screwed directly in, hasn't been done properly, water's got in there. The coaming is double thickness plywood, and as plywood usually does, when water gets in, it starts to cause a bit of a problem. You get rot in there, and you've really got to get rid of the paint on top, get rid of anything dodgy and fill it up. One of the tricks I want to try, Shipwright advised me, was grind it out, get some sawdust, untreated sawdust, mix it up with some fiberglass and hardener, use it as a filler, and get it thick, soak the area with resin, put it on, hold it on with paper tape, let it dry, and then grind it back. And according to him, you end up with almost an invisible repair as opposed to cutting any portions out or filling it up with another type of filler and then sanding it back. So we're going to try that little trick a couple of times and see how that works. Whether it's as simple as that, whether it's as effective as that, I don't know. But if it does, I'll carry on. But if it doesn't, I'll change tact and try something else. Another area behind the stack for the exhaust. There's a lot of rot in the cabin wall, into the plywood behind that. That's where I believe that there's quite a bit of water coming in. It's running down the side of the cabin, entering there, running into the bottom of the cupboard and then behind the oven, and ending up running down into the engine room where it's dripping there. It's landing on the back corner of the port side fuel tank, and there's a bit of water coming in there. So I've got a little bit of work to do there. I'm potentially there going to strip everything out that's a bit dodgy, stop the rot, place a sheet of ply or fireproof material, heatproof material over it, paint it up, and then that should resolve that issue. But you know, look, there's, for an old boat, she's in really good nick. She's probably needs to be used. I need to take her for a run. She's probably getting to the point where she needs to come out of the water again for a new hull clean and anti-foul, but I've got other fish to fry, so to speak, before then. She's not too bad as far as fouling on the hull, and I'll pull it out later on in the year and see how we're getting on. So anyway, so sort of a brief overview of what's been going on and what's I'm planning to do. We'll see how we get on there, and yeah, it should be a bit of fun, a bit of blood, sweat and tears literally, and a bit of time spent aboard doing jobs and feeling a bit better about things. So